Hey there, comic book fans. I'm back from the comic shop again this week, and happy Halloween. I only got pretty slow week for me, only 3 comics, but tons of freebies, because he was like, take some of these Halloween comic book giveaways, because they were giving, there's a lot of kids coming, because in the little town of Pearl River, I guess they do Halloween around in the town and the stores, so he was giving away comics, Comic Fest comics. There's an Usagi Yojimbo one. I think there's a new story. It's in color. I think there's supposed to be a new Chibi Usagi story in this or something. We got a Spook House one from Eric Powell. I think this just must be one of the stories from that Spook House comic book they reprint in here. So these are all mini comic size. I got an Underdog one just because I was always a fan of Underdog. And there was, who did it? There was an Underdog comic in the 80s, an indie one, by Gary Fields, I think it was, if memory serves. Really good Underdog. If you ever get a chance to track down the Underdog comic from the 80s, I forget who published it. It was only a few issues. It was an indie comic. I think the cartoonist's name was Gary Fields. But he did a really nice job with Underdog. I don't know who did this one. Is it signed? And I don't see any credits on Underdog. Let's just flip to the back. No, I don't see any credits, but check out that one from the 80s. It was pretty good. Archie's Madhouse, just because I haven't read an Archie comic and I don't know how long, so here was a free Archie comic to read. Oh, they got credits in this one. Script Frank Doyle, pencils Harry Lucy, inks Chick Stone, letters Bill Yoshida. I got another Archie. There we go. We got Archie's Madhouse and Archie's Madhouse Magic. 2 different ones. Some of these I wonder if one of these is from last year. Who knows? Because sometimes, if they don't give them away one year, they put them in a closet and bring them out next year. Lauren Miracle. Pardon me, it was a misspelling of Miracle, so. A Catwoman tale illustrated by Isaac Goodhart. I just flipped this open and liked the artwork, the duotone artwork there. I was like, oh, I'll give that a look. Probably a YA type comic. I know there are a lot of YA comics are the new gold rush, and there's a lot of YA comics being put out by every publisher everywhere. And no one was taking Battle Cats. So I was like, you know what? I may as well take a Battle Cat since no one else is. Boy, that's impossible to see. At a glance, I was like, ooh, that's getting a little muddy at me. What else did I get here? Oh, previews. I guess at the end of the month, he just gives these away. I think that they come free if you buy the previews magazine, then they just sit there if you don't. And so he's like, hey, have one of these. So I'll look through these, see some covers. Oh, then one other free thing, which I didn't get tonight. My friend gave me this last Friday, I think it was. This is the Society of Illustrators is a club that's been around for 100 years or almost 100 years. They have a building in Manhattan, and they're a society of if you're an illustrator, you can join the club, pay your due, blah blah blah. They've been around forever. Back when illustrators were rock stars in like the early 20th century, they were really huge. But I have a friend who's a member of the Society of Illustrators, and they put on shows. They have a little art gallery downstairs as well as the bar and everything upstairs. And the Revolutionary Art of Mad and EC Comics was the show. It says, I must have just missed it, September 5 to October 27. 2018. So this was last year. So I think they were, Ed was saying they were giving these away to him. So he took a bunch of them and got some for me. I'm going to give this its own video because it's got a lot of original art from Mad and EC. So I'll make a taking a look video of this if I can get to it this weekend. But that's a pretty huge pile of free stuff right there. That's now, mind you, most of these are nonsense, but hey, what the heck? I'll take some Archie comics to look through. Why not? Let's see what we got here. We picked up True Believers. X-Men. I guess this is the first Moira McTaggart. X-Men 95. There's the cover to X-Men 95. The second issue of the third, there's the giant size X-Men 94, and now X-Men 95. I guess this would be the third issue of the all new, all different X-Men. Dave Cockrum art. There was one more issue of X-Men that was a $1 book. I don't even know when it was from. I was like, I don't even want to pay $1 for that one. So, and it's like, what did DC still doesn't have these $1 books right. Their $1 book for the week was The Death of Superman #1. Why they? Marvel comes up with themes. They come up with first appearances. They come up with ideas. DC just puts out, oh, here's the first issue of some giant story that you don't want to read. And it's kind of like, I'm disappointed in DC's $1 books so far. We'll see what they come up with in the upcoming months. But then we've got Color Your Own Cerebus in Hell. It's Cerebus in Hell, the normal strip. I don't know what the Color Your Own part is. I guess it's just a gag for the cover. But it's the same thing. I enjoy this. I find Sim's writing on these pretty clever. Like I said, sometimes they're just weird, sometimes they're clever, but they're usually always interesting. So I might be the only one. Well, I'm not the only one. There's there's 2,000 of us out there buying this, which isn't very many. But I'll keep it on the pull list. Why not? Vark Wars. So that one will probably sell a little better because it's got a Star Wars parody cover. You know how covers sell comic books these days. So put a Star Wars parody cover on the next one, and it'll sell 30,000 copies. Picked up another copy of The Incredible Hulk #1 for my friend Bob Wyachek. He saw mine sitting here and he's like, "Oh, can you get me one of those?" I was like, "Sure." I haven't read mine yet. I read all my other comics from last week twice, but didn't read this one. I was going to read it on my train ride in to the city. Matter of fact, I've been using show you this. I've shown you this my box for carrying comics. I've been putting my comics in here and putting them in my bag and for reading on the train. So that box comes in handy. Yeah, and I was reading all my other comics on the train, and we pulled into the station before we got to Incredible Hulk #1. Oh well, I'll have to read it in my chair at home. And the last one we got is Necromancer's Map #3. This was kind of a young adult comic too. I mean, it's along those lines. Necromancer is a magic user who can raise the dead, and this is the second series of her. I never read the first one. Picked up the first issue of this because I looked through it and liked it and enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm buying 3 Volt miniseries right now, so I think there's another 5-issue miniseries. Ooh, wraparound cover. But she's just kind of on a quest. That's her. That's her friend who she raised from the dead, who doesn't really want to be raised from the dead. But it was like the necromancer got her friend killed and then felt guilty and raised her friend right up. But now her friend, she's still dead. You know, she can't go on to the next world. She can't have a life in this world like a normal person because she's dead. And this is a apprentice wizard that they just picked up the last 2 issues. So it's a quest story. I mean, I would have to think this is young adult. I mean, the art is kind of young adult-ish, but it's it's adult too. It's a good story. I'm enjoying it. So even though something might be young adult, I can still read it, I guess. I'm still young at heart. But anyway, let's show you some artwork that I was doing recently. And here's this is the one I was just working on today. I left this one open for color a lot. A lot of them I've been doing lately have had lines and textures and stuff in them, but this one's kind of reminiscent of my Painted Ladies stuff too, with all these lines on his figure. But not a lot of ink detail in there. I could always add that at the end too. But like I said, I left it open for color, as opposed to this one, which has tons and tons of ink. I just colored this one this week. It has tons and tons of ink detail in it. And it's got all these lines, vertical and horizontal lines, and little cross hatching in there, and more lines here. So it's like I put more ink detail in this to how would I say? Because so it wasn't as open for color, because I didn't want necessarily just color designs here, even though it ends up being pretty color designy, because I've got dark and light stripes. And this one's weird too. This is one of the dreamier ones. I mean, that figure in there, not sure what that is, but I like the light yellows in it. And we got two faces down here that are just... This one's a little different than my normal ones, in that sometimes I draw stuff and I'm like, what is that? I'm not sure. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. Some sort of dream world where the guy's in a bubble? You got me. I like thinking up the stories after I draw them, so that's the way it goes. All right. You guys all have a good week out there.